What if I told you a woman by the name of Deborah Jeane Palfrey knew enough secrets that if she chose to speak up, she could bring ruin to what's probably a majority of our nation's high leadership? Okay, now what if I told you during the federal investigation on her business, she made the choice to speak up and then got unalived? Hopefully I've got your attention for a while, because today we'll be diving into the strange circumstances surrounding her death. Before we continue, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to learn more stuff the government doesn't want you knowing about, like how to make a landmine out of 3 sticks, a rock, and...
Deborah Jeane Palfrey, the D.C. madam, has a lot of people asking a lot of questions.
Jeane was really a feisty, tough, empowered woman who didn't at all seem to me like the kind of person who would take her own life.
The Debbie that I knew in high school and the Debbie that I emailed back and forth with, I did not believe that she would do that.
It floored me. It made no sense whatsoever. I talked to her 2 or 3 days before, and we thought we were on track to take a good appeal, get her bailed out during the appeal, and continue to fight this thing going forward. So that's why it never made sense. I'm conflicted as to whether Jean's death was a suicide or a very highly organized murder.
Deborah Jeane Palfrey ran an escort service that, by all appearances, catered to some of the most powerful people in Washington. Her clients list was a who's who of the political elite. Senators, lobbyists, even foreign dignitaries. But when her business came crashing down, it wasn't just her freedom that was at stake. It was the reputation of some of the most powerful people in the world. In 2008, facing charges that could have put her behind bars for as little as 4 years or as high as several decades depending on how the trial went, she maintained that she would not go down quietly. She repeatedly stated that she had no intention of taking her own life. Her exact words were, "I'm not planning to check out and someone's going to unalive me." These words have been echoed in the minds of conspiracy theorists ever since.
Good morning. I would like to comment on a few topics, including last Friday's disclosure by ABC News that former Deputy Secretary of State Randall L. Tobias was a customer of my previous business, Pamela Martin and Associates. First, allow me to say how genuinely sorry I am for Mr. Tobias, his family, and his friends. I unfortunately know firsthand the impact such a revelation can have upon one's life.
Every single person who used Ms. Palfrey's service over the years expected some sort of privacy.
And then, right on time, on May 1st, 2008, she was found Epstein in her mother's shed behind her mother's house. Immediately, red flags began to surface. Palfrey was a woman who had evidence, leverage, some would say. She threatened to expose her clients, and if she was pushed too far, she definitely would have. So the question isn't who wanted her silenced or why. The question is, how much did they pay for it, and how many of them put in on it? Think about it. A woman running an escort service with ties to men of the highest powers in the nation. A scandal that could rip open the carefully constructed image of the political elite. And then suddenly, her voice is silenced before she ever had a chance to testify to name names. Does that seem like a coincidence to you? Does that seem like something you've heard of recently?
Just like Jeffrey Epstein. Shut up. I know he's your friend, but I don't care. You like to make your own way here in your own plane, didn't you? Right.
Her death was declared a self-unaliving within hours. No serious investigation, no lingering questions, but when people dug deeper into details, things started looking a bit more questionable. For example, her last conversations were calm and measured. Palfrey was even planning on the future. Like, she was actively making plans for her trial, what she would do before she had to go to prison, and probably, banking on the fact that she wasn't going to be in there long, and then she was eventually going to just, write a bestseller book, make $50 million when she got out, exposing probably everybody in DC that wasn't Bernie Sanders or, Mitch McConnell, because he probably scared all the girls off looking like Emperor Palpatine. And that, my friends, brings us to the matter of the clients.
Is there a bombshell that could change the outcome of the presidential election? That's what the former lawyer for the notorious D.C. Madam is claiming.
My name is Montgomery Blair Sibley, and I was the attorney for Deborah Jeane Palfrey, known as the D.C. Madam.
He just posted this video on a GoFundMe page, trying to raise money for legal fees to release the D.C. Madam's records.
Since 2007, I have been under a court order restraining me from publicly releasing those records. Those records contain information relevant to the 2016 presidential election.
Some of her customers were high-ranking officials, and according to rumors, had very dark secrets. Like, I'm talking secrets that could absolutely obliterate careers, families, lives. Was someone protecting those secrets? Was she made an example for anyone that might want to try to expose the truth? Let me know what you think in the comments. But for now, let's talk about a couple other people, because Deborah wasn't the only person tied to this case that died under equally strange circumstances. Investigative journalist Danny Casolaro was found unresponsive in a hotel room, a case that was also ruled a self-unaliving. Brandy Britton, after being outed as a lady of the night, apparently unalived herself as well, despite her also claiming that she would never ever do that to herself a year prior to Deborah's passing. In that case, it's a rabbit hole all on its own. Like, we're talking, this lady was a sociology and anthropology professor in, like, Maryland. She had a lot to look forward to. She was looking forward to a lot. Let's just say that she had some troubles, but that doesn't automatically mean that you're gonna do that to yourself in the way that everybody that had anything to do with any of these investigations immediately jumped to. It's easy to dismiss these deaths as just random tragedies, but when you dig deeper, you see how the puzzle pieces kind of fit together, and then you start to wonder, if she'd lived, would what she had to say have changed everything we think of the United States political landscape? Like, obviously, we know of the corruption, we know of the scandals, we know of the narcissistic apathy, you know, like the hypocrisy of it all. Like, we know that they're not doing their jobs. This wasn't just about sex or money. This was about power, control, and the cost of keeping secrets. From going down this rabbit hole for myself, I can personally say that there are details in this case that will leave you questioning everything. So I'd like for you to do something. Dig deep. Dig deep for yourself and answer this question for me in the comments. Do you think Deborah Jeane Palfrey took her own life, or was she silenced? And remember, when it comes to those in power, the truth is often darker than you think. Thank you for watching. Good night.